We've been tracking and showed a little bit about layering guitars and what that can add to the feel of a part. And there's a lot of people that will do, as a rule, it's like we always do 2 guitars, or we always do 4 guitars, or again, and I've stated this a million times, but there's no set rules. It's really just trying to serve the part. It's not about me. It's about the artist. It's about the song. It's about what you're trying to get across. So we just have to always keep that in mind and always just serve the song. So I guess we track those few sections, but I guess we're gonna get into now a little bit of editing. And again, I'm not a big editing guy. I grew up making records on tape. You can't edit you really can't edit the guitars on tape. So, but I know that for a lot of people, the reality of it is that they want to edit, they want to clean up the guitars, they want to do whatever, they want to fix it. Again, it starts at the source. You try and get it as close as you can, but here's where you have to look at the screen. When I always say when you're recording, don't look at the screen, don't look at the screen. And I used to yell at the musicians, don't look at the screen, stop it. Here, you have to look at the screen. So, just zooming in on things. And then again, I showed you when we were punching in, you're using quick punch. That's the way I prefer to do it. Some people like to not have any crossfades on their audio before as they're tracking in, just because sometimes, especially if you're doing a lot of punch-ins, if there's punch-ins on every track and tracks aren't consolidated, now it's not as much of an issue. A few years ago, it used to be more of an issue. It used to really slow your computer down to a halt. Now, computers are much faster, more powerful. Even without HD, they can handle a lot of edits and it wouldn't be an issue. But I still say, I've gotten tracks where I'm mixing, and we're talking about mix prep a little bit, but I've gotten tracks where people send me, I have a list of requirements when, if I'm mixing a record that I didn't record, I didn't track, and, the first thing is make sure all your crossfades are good, make sure there's no clicks and pops in the audio, and then take everything, once all your fades are there, and then consolidate it. And for those of you who don't know, it's in Pro Tools, it's called consolidation. In Cubase, it's called bounce track. Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Okay. But they're all basically the same thing, but so you have your section, and you have all these little regions and all these little sections, and it's a bunch of audio, and it comes up in the bin or the pool, as it's called in some programs. And there's a lot, besides there's a lot of tracks in this song, but there's all these little regions, and there's all this stuff, and it's just all this unused audio. You don't need that stuff. It clutters the session and makes it huge. If you're gonna try and send audio to somebody else for mixing, if you're not mixing it yourself, all the unused audio that's sitting there, it's just bloating the size of your session. You want to clean that up. You want to get rid of it. And again, it's in terms of thing I always talk about is committing. So it's like, okay, if we know all our tracks it sounds good, all the punch-ins are good, I don't want to clean up all the noises, I want to keep all that stuff. Highlight all the regions, and there's, where is it? Consolidate clip, right there. Boom. Going on my point while this is loading up, even though you're looking at the screen, what's the primary thing here? It's audio. You're listening. You're using your ears. And that's what you have to do, because what doesn't work is editing completely by sight. It's a roadmap. What in the world is going on here? Okay. I don't know. I'm going to find out in a second. Reloading the session. But you have to
save your work.
Well, yeah.
This is what we're trying to demonstrate here.
I'll tell you right now, a very quick aside, go into preferences in Pro Tools. Where is it? Operation. Right here. Enable session auto file backup. Yeah. Because just in case something like what just happened, what if we were working for an hour and then that crashed and I didn't hit save once?
We were working on a record once and somebody in the studio threw a ketchup packet and it went across the room, bounced back, and hit the little reset button on the Mac that was like this big with the corner of the ketchup packet and turned the computer off before we saved some
This
automation.
is a true story. This wasn't on Pro Tools itself. It was actually it was when we were making Calculating Infinity, and there was a Macintosh that was covering the automation on the console, on the Neotech console we were mixing through. There's moving fader automation,
Right.
and yeah, a sauce packet for chicken nuggets,
Flew across the room,
under
the
room
desk,
and hit
and found
the
that little button.
one in a gazillion chance to hit this little reset button, and all my faders went shunk,
And that was
the
an entire
computer
song
shut off.
of like manual automation.
Hours of work.
Hours of like, yeah.
Yeah. So save your work. Save, or if you don't want to get into the habit of hitting save constantly, enable autosave like I showed you and make sure it's there.
All of the DAWs have them.
Yes, every DAW has autosave. So that's a quick aside to give you a good rule of thumb. Say you have guitars and you've got all these little chops in them, all these cuts. No. Sorry about this, folks. We have a lot of cuts in it. For example, if these were all, say these were all punch-ins.
Yeah, or punch-ins.
You know, and again, you select them all, you hit consolidate clip, or the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut is Option Shift 3, and great. Now, getting into punches now, I really wish we had our clips back because our other tracks, because we don't have all the crossfades that we're trying to show. So, okay. Interesting enough. Show an example though now, getting into editing instead of using the stuff that we already tracked. And I showed this before, but to some people and in some schools of thought, they would take these two guitars right here and they would slide them over to this. So they go, oh yeah, we want to line it up with the kick drum. Great, fantastic. Now listen to that. Right, that's on according to this. Visually, it's totally on. But listen, not even close. So, point is, that's very simple. Your eyes will deceive you. Your eyes will always deceive your ears. You have to use your ears. And it's a roadmap, and that's what I mean by it. Like, it's like, okay, well, what if, say, if this guitar was early? Like, it was actually, like, it felt early, you know? Even that, honestly, feels cool a little bit early. It feels a little on top. Like, now, it still sounds like it's on, but it changes the whole feel and the whole push of that hit with the drums. It's still cool. It's a little on top. If that's how you want it to feel, great. But did I look at it and go, oh, I need it to go that many milliseconds before? No, I didn't. So what if it's like that and you go, okay, it's on, but okay, I don't want it to be. I want it to be more on, but I don't want it to be like perfect. So to me, I feel like you use your ears completely, and you could say, okay, I need to go towards that way. So you can use the nudge in Pro Tools, say like by, 1 millisecond, you can go really, really, tiny, or, further, maybe like 2 or 3. Okay, so you got 2 milliseconds. Now what I do is, I know I have to go this way. There's your roadmap. I know I want to go, it's a little early, it feels a little early. So I won't look, and I'll just go. Around there, and then, still feels a little on top, but you're nudging it using the plus and minus. You could set up here the nudge. You're not on a grid. We're going like, say, forget grid, use time, completely just 24 seconds, who cares, you know? So let's put that and let's feel that. It's better. Do it again, but don't, as long as you know you're on your regions, don't look at the screen. Hit the pre-roll and maybe do your pre-roll for 2 seconds. Do a couple more. Just the pre-roll, no, I just changed the pre-roll. Yeah, so 2 seconds before and after, and then you go, okay. That feels right. Let's try a little further. And that's it. It's literally as simple as that. Like, you know, sometimes you really need to look and go, okay, we need to lock that in. But for the most part, it's only a roadmap. It's only a guide. And you should always trust your ears. It's like, not what it looks like. What does it sound like? Because again, the things that we look at and we go, oh my God, that's early, but it's completely not. And there's
psychology too to it, because your ears, what sounds right to you there's a lot of factors. You know, what you're how the distance you're used to hearing music from, where you sit in your car, you know, if you're a musician, how far you are from a drummer. So we don't know all those factors, but you know how it feels. Mm-hmm. So,
and yeah, what feels right to me is not going to feel right to him. It's not going to feel right to you,
and
or to
certainly
any of
not
you.
going to look right on a screen.
Yeah, that's an absolute must. My goodness, I really wanted to open up that other session, and I wonder how I can get back to that.
The one
session backup.
Yeah, maybe the session backup. Let me see if
like most recent. Or
let's see.
time.
Really quick, guys, just bear with me. Yes, all right.
Bam.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Fantastic. So again, showing the old section. This is the new guitars we recorded. Again, cleaning up a section. Maybe, again, going to the thing of like saying like, okay, maybe we want that one spot, keeping everything really dirty, but we want that one spot because it's almost like a scene change, and we want to we just take it, highlight it, hit delete, and then maybe a quick little fade on there. Yeah, hit save. Oh yeah, now we need when I lost my bet, let's say CL track. There we go. And again, it's creating that one little spot. Like everything else is dirty and leaving all the gross noises. Just for that start, just for that one little spot, just so we know that it brings in the next change. Okay, and going back through, same thing, making sure, just going through. Honestly, a lot of times what I'll do, because if you're punching in a lot. What happens is sometimes Pro Tools will tend, if you punch in on a punch-in, sometimes what happens is you won't have a regular clean crossfade. It'll give you a fade in. If you wind up punching in on the same section, I don't know if you've ever, any of you have ever experienced that. Have you done that where you notice where it's not a crossfade, but it's that?
Based on, you're right.
Right.
You gotta fix it.
And that, in terms of, yeah, if you like I said, once you punch in over an actual crossfade, if you actually punch and happen to land on the exact same time, it'll put a fade in instead of a crossfade. So, and in a track, like if you're punching through and it's in the middle of a chord, that will create a pop.
Sure.
Not so much here in a stop, but that will definitely create a pop. And I can just show, if I could just, nope, it's doing a crossfade. It won't do it for me. And that's a really long one, but if you hear it, and it's pretty smooth anyway. But point is, it will most of the time create a pop, and you want to make sure. So one of the quick ways that I'll do it, just to prepping tracks in terms of mixing, is if there was a lot of punch-ins, and I'll just zoom in, take off tab to transient, which is this little knob little button right here, and that way when you tab, you're tabbing. It's just tabbing at the start and end of every region that's there. So I'm literally tabbing through and checking my work. You know, so this one here, oh, there's missing a crossfade. Okay, this one missing a crossfade. Do it. Tab, just tabbing through every, going through on a track by track basis. Trying to.
Do you want to explain when you do crossfades, what the gain structure in the crossfade is, and when you use different? I know that you have your preferences as far as guitar,
in general, well, no.
Kind of, the way.
As far as the type of crossfade,
the type of crossfade, maybe.
Well, in general, I just use a basic. This is what's known as a equal gain crossfade. Sometimes there's what's known as equal power, which is a gentler slope. Mm-hmm. And when you're transitioning between different sounds, sometimes it'll sound too abrupt, and this will actually give you it's just a matter of different sounds. And I'm trying to see if I can get like a section with punch-ins, and we could actually hear the difference. Let me see how we could do this. Okay, take for example that section that we did and we punched in that really weird strident guitar sound. Okay, so let's take these two fades and eliminate them. You could go, if you want to eliminate fades on a broad stroke, you could take this and go fade, delete, and it'll take those two fades out. Now obviously you could hear there's no crossfade and there's a pop in the section coming up. You can hear it. It's very simple. It's very loud. It's. If you zoom in and scrub it, you can hear that crossfade. And the pop. And I've had plenty of things where people prep files for me for mixing, and there's either no crossfades, or they consolidated the regions like I showed you before, and without crossfades, and there's pops all over the place. And I'll call them back and go, you have to fix it. And then sometimes they go, I threw out all the files. Sorry. They committed, and that's a case where committing was not such a good thing. I believe in committing even on this kind of thing, but you can also, what you could do is save session as, or save copy in. You could save as and do a version and go CL track, 0.1, or if you want to be specific, you can write fades, CL track fades. Feds. And that way, the other version you have without the crossfades is already there. Now you have the new version, and you do have a safety to go backwards if you needed to go back and revise something. You have that. But then in the new section, take that, throw everything else out, commit to it. So now let's show you, zooming in. I mean, in the perfect world, you're looking at, when they tell you in school or whatever, and they'll tell you, okay, well, look for a spot where it's crossing the zero. See the line in the middle of the region here? I'll zoom these out a little further. Ideally, you want to, get it so where it's crossing the zero threshold, and that's where you're not going to hear a pop. If you could make the regions line right there. Anything over and above it, you're going to get a pop. But I mean, honestly, especially in guitar, I mean, distorted guitar. It's all over the place. You're not going to really ever get it to where you're lining them up so it's going to hit right. So that's where you get crossfades, and you do this. Highlight this like a little section. Apple F. You could just hit F without, if you're on quick keys and with, or it's called key focus command, I think, in Pro Tools. You could just hit the F button, the letter F, that's it. And it's going to go to the default crossfade, which is the equal power one that I first showed. But if you wanted to adjust it, hit Command F, and then you have the option of equal gain, equal power, and then you can slide it to where, you can eyeball that and go, okay, what looks more, it's even on both sides. Now it looks skewed to the left side. The one on top is what's to the left of the crossfade, one on the bottom is what's to the right. And you could show where it's evening out, but So, I mean, you know, you eyeball it, whatever, but you can also audition it. There's a way to audition it, but we don't have a IO set. The way we have it set up, we won't be able to audition it, but normally you can audition it in here, so that way it's not just eyeballing, you can, again, using your ears. You can click audition, ideally, and hear what that crossfade sounds like. And then go forward, whoops, tab through it, same thing. Maybe do the same thing. Looks and even it out right about there. Now, to me that's almost a little smooth because the part's so jarring that you don't want it to be that smooth. So again, undo create fades.
But in theory that worked well.
In theory that worked well, but in a bubble that's right, that's great, but that's not what we're going for. So I usually go with that equal power one, or equal gain. It's still smooth, there's no pop, but it's a little more of a jarring, because that's, you know, again, you're trying to make it hit with that. With that drum, and you want it to, again, what's the focus? You want it to be jarring, you want it to, so, you know, sometimes you have to adjust your edits to make sure that it's still, you're not just getting all techie with it and going, okay, let's make everything smooth and let's, you know, let's make it perfect. Same thing as just the tracking, like perfect sucks. I don't like perfect. Perfect is boring, it's not, you know, so it's, again, it's about using your ears and sliding regions around if you need to. You know, again, I try not to do that ever, but sometimes, you know, I mean, there's plenty of times, even on the Dillinger stuff, there's things where it's like, oh man, when you're, you know, it sounds awesome and everything, and all of a sudden, you know, when you're listening with a bunch of tracks and you go, you know, something might slip through the cracks, and I'm mixing, and to be able to go, man, you know, Ben flew across the country, I'm mixing the record, now this part's like, oh, this is weird. So yes, you know, it's in a pinch, it's great. You know, like the talent's gone, the artist has gone home, and man, I really wish it could have hit a little earlier. Not perfect, but just, I feel like it's just too on top, and maybe it needs to slide back a little bit. And stuff like, for that, it's fantastic. But don't rely on it. And you know, once you go down the rabbit hole, it's so easy with any kind of editing. And you know, people even, you know, talk about like with vocals and auto-tune and everything like that. And I hate auto-tune, but it's not like I haven't ever tuned a note on a vocalist. Of course I have. Almost everybody has, you know. Even the most ardent, like, natural guys, like I know, like my friend Ross, like, you know, he's even tuned vocals before, you know, but you're tuning a note, you're fixing one little spot, and you're never tuning it to the note, you're never fixing it, just like you're never fixing it, you know, taking the region and moving it on the kick drum. You're moving it towards the kick drum. You're just massaging the feel just the slightest bit. But the problem is once you start, you know, it's very easy to never stop and then to go, oh, I could fix that. Oh, I could fix that. Oh, I could fix that. And then, you know, 20 fixes down the road, the intent and the thing that I talked about, the original intent of what's there is gone. So be very, very careful when it comes to editing. Don't overdo it, and don't do it because just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's the big thing, that's the big trap that a lot of modern engineers and producers fall into. They go, oh, I can do this. So they feel like they have to because it's there. And it's like, oh, I'm not using this. Well, why? Do you need to use it? Like, ask yourself, really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, do you need to use this? So, what about you on the editing side of things?
I find it hard to say no, just say no sometimes. Like, I overthink everything, I over-edit, I can work longer than I should on things. And so, but again, I'm typically I'm not making a real record. I'm like kind of doing things for demo purposes or creative purposes, and then these tools become really, the sky's the limit, you know, for cutting and pasting and moving things around, coming up with creative ideas, so it's really great for that. But yeah, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole and get lost real easily.
Yeah, you guys ever fall into the over-editing trap? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point sometimes when I'm working on music that during the compositional stages, I'll deliberately leave the computer off and just play the instruments because it's too easy to start manipulating, and it takes you away from what it's really about.
Exactly. Going back again, committing to the original intent of the song. You know, like I said, all this technology, I'm not anti-technology, but I am anti-abuse of technology. You know, all these things are there, are tools, they're there, they're great, but, you know, you're making, ultimately, what are you doing? You're making music. You're not, you know, I could be in Photoshop if that's the case. I mean, what's the point, you know?
I've heard of producers, and I'm not going to mention any names, who would actually have the guitar player come in and basically play every note in the song, and then record it, and then be like, okay, leave. And he would literally cut and paste the riff.
Assemble the guitar.
Assemble the riff. And cut and paste, I mean, programming basically the guitar player completely. So.
Yeah, that is not what I want to do.
That's like synthesis. That's basically.